Hi. I've got to get back into doing these more regularly if I'm gonna really make the most of it. I think I've got to just so welcome back. I'm Kate. A lot going on lately, and I just wanted to talk about some different random things. I included a bunch of links in my description for today's conversation because one of the things, besides just me keeping this record, kind of for myself and for my family and friends, if they're interested in seeing all the crazy that I'm up to, is I want to keep track for myself, all the various things that are coming in to my world via lots of YouTube, um, frankly. But I'm having some really great conversations with my friends lately and spending a ton of time with my niece and my nephews. And so I just got to keep track of it all. I'm somebody that has always carried around notebooks, drawing pads, and it just gets so scattered and it's so much after so many years. There's some days where I wish I'd kept better, more meticulous records of everything, but I've thrown away a lot of my old journals because I don't know, it was like the purging of some of that stuff felt really good. And if you've ever seen me and my house and all my collections of things, um, I realized that a purge of some stuff, it does us well. And that's really something I've been not able to do, not able to let go of many things. Especially my books. I just get obsessed with collecting various things. But this week I've been digging up some plants and trying to find some homes for them. And I put a link to Gardening Uncensored with Manny Grossman. Um, he had gone offline and come back. He's come back now. So he's uh, releasing a lot of his old content from his Son of Sam David Berkowitz research, which is not a subject that I was ever really that into. But now that I've been listening to some of the stuff, it's just very intriguing, especially to think about the time um, in which that whole situation was going down. I believe he was arrested in 1977, and that was the year my mom graduated from high school. And I was thinking how strange that was that parallel to that, the Son of Sam stuff in New York, out west was the Ted Bundy stuff was happening then. Because when my mom was like in junior high, high school, um, that's when Ted Bundy was actually in Salt Lake and he was like profiling dark haired women like my mom. Uh, so I just found that to be really curious, and I've been getting really fascinated with just studying so many different subjects. And um, I believe I posted in my description a link to a conversation with Manny Grossman and Professor Hamamoto that they had today. And one of the things that Manny has been bringing to light is that, yeah, there's like a lot of conspiracy theory type stuff, and that's all well and good. But we also need to remember that we're here to discover the truth. And so that was just a nice phrasing for, just disseminating through everything that's going on right now. It's it's that old phrase, "There's nothing new under the sun." So, to me, that's what's gotten me really engaged with study and history. For the first time in my life, I'm putting things together, and while my brain might have been tracking some of these things in the past, like, suddenly now I just feel this need to focus and, like, do my homework, and so that's why I'm including a list of a lot of the shows that, uh, I watched today because I wanna keep track. There's so many great people doing so much important work. Um, One link I posted is Mark Kulat's, Houstonic Live. Uh, he found, like, an old YouTube video, and he restreamed it. I just thought I think his work is very important. He recently had a son that passed away from a drug overdose. So, go and watch Mark's channel, Houstonic Live. He's got some really good stuff, and I'm needing to catch up with him too. But, I mean, yeah, I've come to the conclusion that, I'm really not afraid of, uh, what's to come. It doesn't do any good to, like, worry, but I've always been a pretty anxious, worrying person, and one of the things I've tended to do is, burying those anxieties and not really dealing with them. And I've been thinking about how just incredible it's been in my life lately. I've reconnected with someone um, that I was just acquainted with in the past, but a few months ago I felt compelled to just call her and talk to her because I knew that she would kind of understand maybe where it was coming from. And we've just become such constant contact friends that, I'm just so grateful for that. She really helped me today. I had to deal with something that I really have been afraid to tackle, and, somehow I was able to just overcome that, call the right people, asking for help, you know, and just learning how to negotiate this complex world as a very kind of emotional creature. And I don't just blame, my trauma or my womanhood or the the mean world. I really think these are struggles that are essential to building up our character. And not only that, but one of the things I did today, I was getting pretty snippy with the kids because I had to be on the phone for almost the entire day. I was like on hold or trying to compose text messages or emails from my phone. And so I was just like, and I was distracted. And so I was being pretty snippy. And I had to apologize to the kids that I had overreacted about something. Maybe I had the right to be mad that they had made such a huge mess, but I was trying to say, "Hey, like, uh, sorry that I got upset. I'm really stressed out right now, and I'm having to deal with some things that I really don't want to do." And you know, I don't want to always be like that, like making excuses for my behavior, but I feel like that is a tendency of women, especially, is like we're explainers. Um, and I don't think that's a bad thing, and I've worked with a lot of guys that I'm sure they just don't really care and they don't want that and they don't like it. But I think it does serve us well, especially when we explain things to people that, you know, it usually smooths some things over. You give people some context, and I don't know. I don't know how that's helped me professionally, being that I don't really have employment right now, nor do I have very good prospects for employment. But it's kind of by choice. I haven't really been putting myself out there. Um, Last week or the week before, I applied for a job, which is like a contractor gig to scoop dog poop in people's backyards for this company. And they said, "Okay, sounds great. We're going to pass you along to our schedulers and we'll get you on." Haven't heard anything from them. And I texted the lady I spoke with who hired me on, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, well, we got a lot of interest in that position. So the schedulers will be in touch." And I just thought, holy shit, like there are that many people that just want to scoop dog crap for others. And, for me, I just don't wanna really be dealing with people. I mean, customers are mean. My husband works in food service still, and their shop is kind of like a one-man show. Like, they cook the food, they wash the dishes, they take the orders, they have to do everything. And maybe there'll be 2 people working at once, but, it's just one person running the whole place, and people are freaking mean, and they tip poorly, and they don't read the menu, and so they just ask silly questions, and it's like, yeah, your job is to serve the customer and all that, but it's just one of those things where you wish it would go both ways, and so I've tried to avoid, like, anything with customer service, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I know that much. But for now, I'm just trying to do the work on myself and just figure out, yeah, how do I become more honest with myself? Because then I can show up more authentically everywhere else. And, so I'm trying to develop a course for our homeschooling for next year with the kids. And for the summertime, I just want to make sure that we're drawing every day. And one of my inspirations for drawing things is Manny Grossman's gardening classes. He used to work at I believe it's the New York Botanical Garden, and he is no longer associated with them. And watch his shows, and he'll tell you why. But he is superb, and he's giving us his classes for free on YouTube, his design courses, and he's had a few different uh, shows that he's done recently. I haven't caught them all, but the point is, he's encouraged me to get into my botany studies. This is the one botany book I have that's like true, like this one's organized in such a different way than other ones, but it does have some really beautiful colored pictures, which is kind of rare in a lot of plant books. You'll have like pretty bad black and white pictures. I mean, that's still quite detailed for just black black and white, but there's some really pretty colors in this. And so I don't know, I've heard um, some people criticize uh, certain aspects of this book, but haters gonna hate, and I think, just as in a lot of institutions, there's a lot of weird stuff in the horticulture world. That's something Manny was alluding to in his class today. that just got me thinking, like, man, yeah, there is something nefarious going on, like, in every aspect, every corner of all of our societies around the world. I mean, it's just endemic, I guess. I don't know if I'm using the word correctly, but anyway, I'm gonna be doing my homework, studying design, and thanks to Manny, he's teaching me how to step up my game. One thing I thought that was particularly great about his way of going about design is when you're working with scale. So you can have a piece of graph paper, and maybe you're plotting out a very small garden. You can use the whole page, and your scale can be different than if you're designing like a 200 by 200 foot garden. Your scale is going to be different. And so I thought that would be a very useful tool to integrate into drawing with the kids is just when we practiced today, um just goofing off. I asked them to come up with some color combinations, and so they just helped me pick out some colors. And I want us to design different gardens together. And at first, they'll just be fantasy gardens, and then we'll work back and into like I'm thinking. So one of Manny's homework assignments from his class today was picking out some plants that have interest in the different seasons. And so I was just doodling. I have a lot of pointy, planty things like this. I have yucca, uh, a torch lily. Um, so it's like if you can imagine a general shape of a plant that you would like, then there's a lot of detail that you can find within that shape. So you can find plants that may have some variegation on the leaf, or you can have plants that have different types of flowers, whatever. So different, you can have like those century plants are huge. And then you can have a yucca, which might be like a medium size, and then you can have the torch lilies, which might be a little bit smaller when they're babies. And then a lot of these plants, they grow from the rhizomes, and they just multiply, they clone themselves. So after a few years, what was one plant is going to be potentially 20 or 30 plants. And so that's what I've been digging out of the gardens to give new homes. And so I like to landscape with plants like that are easy to divide, that we plant them, they fill up a space after a few years, and then you kind of reclaim some of that space if you want to borrow those plants and put them into another patch of the garden, or you want to rework the space. So I'd like to figure out a nice balance of, a good design aesthetic, being mindful of just the needs of that particular plant, and then other auxiliary benefits besides just its beauty. Um, is it something that the good bugs, the mason bees and the bumblebees and all the native North American species of bees, which honeybees are not native to North America. Um, so, there's all these other types of solitary bees that we can give habitat to. So, anyway, just trying to incorporate these different ideas in ways that we can take it down to the kindergarten level for ages 5 to 95, you know? I think these are like core subjects that we can take back and retrain humans to these different ways of taking care of ourselves. And I think gardening is so important. I think it is a revolutionary act. And I think there's a difference between the people that uh, spray chemicals and crap versus the people that are willing to like see the big picture, you know, play the long game. And, you know, yeah, I'm trying to change people's minds with their aesthetics. What is aesthetically pleasing? So, I know that I can't design a beautiful landscape like Manny can. Um, but maybe I'm not trying to be like that, you know? He has his thing, and that's really awesome, and I really admire his work. And then, you know, we can learn from that. We can borrow the things that can apply to us. He's often talking about plants that grow in a region totally different than mine. So I have to make some adjustments for my climate, but where I live within a 100-mile radius, there's so many different microclimates. And so it's just, I don't know, I'm just feeling really excited about a lot of these different things. And it's not all doom and gloom, although I am trying to pay attention. And you know, I think there's an old idea that when you're on the fence, you get shot at from both sides. And I just think, yeah, that's what more of us have to be willing to stand up for, is not picking our side on either side of the line, but really, you know, embracing. It's like holding hands with people on both sides. And, you know, not all of us are capable of being able to be the peacemakers. You know, I think some of us just have it so ingrained that we have to, it's like we have something to prove. We have to fight. We have to, you know, make our point. And I can understand that, you know, especially if you feel like you're being oppressed and you don't want to deal with it anymore. You know, you want to take your power back. And I think that's important, you know, for sure. Um, I should pull this up and read this really quick. Um, I took a million pictures of this website um, of on this day um, for my birthday, June 15th. Very interesting day in history. A lot of a lot of things happened. Let me see if I can find this. Sorry. Okay. So this is from a Facebook post, The Humans of New York. I'd always head straight to the gym after my shift at Starbucks. Martin trained me for free the entire time I was in the shelter. He told me that he was going to turn me into a fighter. He was hard on me. He said I had more problems than a math book, and if I ever complained, he'd call me a drama queen. One afternoon, I came in upset because I'd just gotten an email from my husband saying I was outside the will of God. It had really shaken me. But when I told Martin what happened, all he said was, "Fuck that shit." He told me to get in the ring, and as he wrapped my hands, he said, "We're going to do things a little different today. Every time you throw a cross, you're going to say, 'Fuck that shit.'" I laughed. I said, "Oh no, I don't talk like that." But Martin wasn't laughing. He said, "You'll talk like that today." I looked around the gym, and it was just me and him. So I gave it a try. Jab with the left, cross with the right, and say, "Fuck that shit." Martin was wearing the pads on his hands, and he's saying, "Louder, kid, louder." He said, "Nobody fucks with you, nobody." which wasn't true, of course, because I'd been fucked with my entire life. But I tried it again, this time even louder. Fuck that shit. Louder. Fuck that shit. We did it for 30 minutes. With each punch, I got louder and louder until I was screaming. At first, those words were just about my husband and the email he had sent. But as I kept hitting the pads, those words became something else. It became my way of giving voice to everything that was done to me in the name of God. The psychological abuse in the marriage, the sexual abuse as a child, all the guilt I'd been made to feel, all the shame. Fuck that shit. It was wrong. I've known it was wrong my whole life, but I never defended myself. Or if I tried, it was get back in your place. But now I was doing something. I was fighting back. At the end of the day, when I walked out the door, I felt relieved of so much pain. Martin called me over to the desk. He said, "Listen, kid, from now on, every time someone tries to mess with you or makes you feel less than you got to say, fuck that shit." So I appreciated seeing that message today. I think it got me feeling really good. And then also it's like it's horrible because she's in such a place of pain that you have to come to that, and I've seen a lot of people where it's like they're constantly fighting, they're constantly just like throwing punches at you, and you can see that those are the most injured of us probably, you know. And so I'm trying to find this place of understanding of like the worst of the trolls and the people that are so obviously hurting, you know. But I think, yeah, you have to be able to say, no, I'm not taking this anymore, or why should I feel bad about this? I was getting all worked up over some of the medical bills for Lucas's accident. And, I just keep thinking, man, we're so lucky. We're so fortunate that he has his eyes, because he got bit on his face all around. I mean, it's like under here and a couple marks up here. And the scars are almost completely gone. So, the fact that like collection agencies and the doctor's offices are, wanting their money right away and getting super pissed about it. It's like, well, you guys just chill out, because I have, it's getting settled. But, I lost my job. That happened to Lucas. It really, really rattled me. I've just been, I've always had a hard time dealing with grown up stuff, but I can usually fake it and get through. And, the last 6 months or so, it's been almost impossible. So I feel like I'm finally coming out of my funk, and getting in the garden helps. And these communities and these channels that I've shared with you today, please check them out. I love them because they're very small group chats. They do a lot of live shows, and so there's a really good engagement with the few people that attend them live. And I just feel like it's becoming a really great space for me to expand, everything that I hope to, continue to be. It's not like I'm becoming any of this stuff. I feel like I'm just becoming more of what I've already been, and, seeing more of my potential come to light. So anyways, as always, thanks for being on this journey with me, and I hope to check in with you in the next day or so. Good night.